What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mastery Podcast. In today's video, I want to talk to you about business and science. Why am I going to be covering both of these? Well, a lot of the questions that I will get asked very frequently are, Mark, I know you've got business coaching programs. I know you've got science and theory coaching program. Which one should I be doing? So if you are in the industry right now, whatever level, you are going to have to bounce in and out of the two if you're inspired by the two. Because if you want to build a better business, then ultimately you need to learn the fundamental basics of running a business. But it's whether or not the business aspects relate to the service delivery to your clients right now, because I put them into two pockets. You've got the service delivery, and then you've got the marketing side of things and the selling side of things. Now, in order to be able to have something to market and something to sell, you need results, and that comes from the science and theory part. Now, if I tell you right now that probably for the first 10 years of my coaching career, I focused every bit of my effort on the science and theory. I feel very responsible when I put my podcast together, when I put my YouTube videos together, even when I do my reels on Instagram. Because I'm somebody that's done 23 years, I did 15 years on the gym floor, and I spent a heck of a lot of time studying the science and theory. And being 45 years of age now, I sit here talking to you, and whilst I do teach a lot of business now, I guide a lot of the coaches that I talk to the science and theory, because you can't really have one without the other. And sometimes people that I speak to have done 10 years in the industry and say, I wish I'd learned a little bit more about business because I'd be in this position or this position. But then again, if I had spent the 10 years learning more about business, I probably wouldn't have become a great coach. So there's two types of coach in the fitness industry. There's the type of coach that goes, look, I'm going to do my level 3, I'm going to do an initial certification, and I'm just going to go straight into learning business. Well, in my opinion, that type of coach has avoided the thing that they're going to be known for in the next 10 years. So any coach that I'm speaking to that said, oh, I'm 10 years in, I wished I'd done more business. And I say, but you're 10 years in with an incredible portfolio of results, an incredible knowledge base. And if I'm honest, I use this kind of 10-year phase. In my opinion, the first 10 years of your career should be spent 110%, or I'll say a percentage, but 100% of your focus should never come off your science and theory education. Let me rephrase that a little bit. Let's say 70% of your focus, because I do feel it's important from a naivety perspective to not learn a little bit of the business things. What would I mean? Well, how to market yourself to get the right type of clients, how to actually structure your coaching business to deliver a better service for your clients, to maximize retention. This is what I mention when I talk about when it comes to business. The importance of this episode when I come to the science and theory side of stuff is, what should you be knowing more about? I asked this question to one of my guests on the podcast recently. And I said, what do you think the fundamentals are that a coach should focus on? Because I'm going to bounce in and out of kind of business and science, because I believe that they're so important. So many coaches just focus on the business side of stuff, and then they never have any clients, they never have any business, they're not making enough money, and they've missed out the science and theory part. So what is the kind of balance that you need? Let's go through the science and theory to start with. What do I think is important? I first and foremost think it's essential that you have a nutrition foundation. I think it's essential that you have a nutrition foundation. Second thing, I think it's very, very important that you understand the fundamentals of the psychology of behavior of people. I think it's really important that you understand why people behave. I think it's very important that you understand how you behave. I think you should understand anatomy, mobility, flexibility, and assessments. I see a lot of biomechanics. I've taught a lot of biomechanics over the years. Do I think it's essential in the early days of being a coach? Not necessarily. Do I think the anatomy is a vital part? The kind of thought process behind my stepping stones, if you will, is that there's biomechanics to the level where you're going so deep into how to execute relative to specific muscles, or there's understanding how to set up machines to get the most effectiveness out of them per the exercise you're doing. I feel that the deep biomechanics is something that you'll learn a little bit later on into your career. So you have essentially assessment strategies, anatomy, movement, flexibility. I think program design is essential, nutrition is essential. I think human behavior and understanding why people do things is incredibly important. And once you've got those kind of like fundamentals, then you can start layering the deeper education on. When I spoke to a coach in the industry recently on the podcast, and I just said, how valuable has your education been to you through your career? And it was like, you don't know what you don't know. And I think a lot of coaches, this is why there's the naivety. I've done my level 3, I've done my certification, I'm all done. There's no need for me to do anything else. So I'm just gonna go and focus on business. Well, here's the thing with business online and PT. You're not gonna eventually end up as somebody that people want to specifically work with. If you aren't improving your knowledge, you're not getting better referrals, and you're certainly not getting better results. The number one reason why you're not progressing in terms of that side is because you're not studying it. So throughout my whole career, there were a huge amount of books that I'd read on self-development. That's had the biggest impact in my coaching ability, is taking somebody from where they think they are right now to exceeding that to a whole different level. And that's come from psychology, behavior, my own personal development courses. That's why I'm going to go back and say that I don't think that a coach is going to be skilled enough in business and as a coach until they've done 5 to 10 years as a coach. 10 years is my kind of like foundational level. Can you get to a foundational level of income, 4 or 5K? Are you the finished article? Absolutely not. And I think the reason why I called this episode Business and Science is because what I notice in the industry at the moment is you have coaches that focus on so much to do with the science and theory, they become so knowledgeable, they don't build a business. And then I see coaches on the flip side that focus so much on business, have no clients, and the reason is because they haven't got enough science, theory, and practice. Do I think that you can marry the two together? Yes, I do. Do I think that if you're listening to this episode right now, that a lot of you have under-educated yourselves on the science and theory of coaching? And I see that happening a lot. You just want to make a load of money. I've worked with a lot of coaches that go out there, that they learn how to do the marketing, the lead generation, the systems, and all that stuff. And then 6 months down the line, they've not got the numbers of clients, they've not got the reputation, or they've got loads of clients coming through the door, but they don't even know who they are, and their retention's very, very poor. So I want you to listen and watch and engage with me on this and understand that in order for you to build a successful business, it's going to be built off a reputation. It's going to be built off results. It's going to be built off service. It's going to be built off referrals. That will only come when you learn the science and theory. It's not going to come if you spend all your time just focusing on business. As a coach, if you are focusing on your content creation, your sales, your lead generation, everything else, fantastic. I would leave at least an hour a day to study some degree of science, theory, coaching, and practice. I would encourage you incredibly to get out there and do practical events. So many online coaches that I speak to are like, yeah, practical events, that's more for PTs. Absolute rubbish. You need to see on the gym floor actual what's happening to people. You have to see that. If you are an online coach and you are having a check-in, somebody sends you a video and you've never been through that yourself, you don't know what it feels like, you can't coach that person, you can't help them improve. In fact, an online coach needs to spend more time in the gym studying their craft, working with a one-to-one coach, actually getting them to show them exactly how something should feel. So this is why I've always bounced between my personal development knowledge, my business coaching. I've always had mentors for the last 19 years. There's barely gone a year gone by where I've not worked with a mentor that's helped me on finance, on marketing, on lead generation, systems, and hiring people. And even in the first few years as a coach, I would actually always ask 50% science theory questions when I had a consultation with a business coach or a coach, and then 50% of what have you done, what have you read, who have you helped, who have you worked with, and what are the things within what I'm asking you right now that you think I could take away from what they're sharing with me at that point that will help me be able to take my business to the next level. So I'm not going to sit here on this channel inside this episode, this podcast, and say that everything you ever hear from me is just business and you need to focus on business, marketing, lead generation, systems. I'm here to encourage you to actually spend the next year, wherever you are in this year that we're in, it's 2023 now, but wherever you are within the year, write down a list of things that you don't know. If you do not know something or you're struggling to get results with a particular type of client, get working with a coach, get somebody to actually evaluate that and say you need to change this. Hire your own coach, get them to take you through the process. Don't be naive. Make sure that you actually study the business. Make sure you actually study the science and theory of coaching alongside everything. And I'll tell you right now, if you're not a learner, as in like you don't enjoy it, you're not inspired by it, good luck in the fitness industry. We're a service industry. You are responsible for people's health, wellness, fitness, psychology. We're responsible for as well. If you're not learning, you're going to die. So if you're somebody that's come in and gone, I'm going to leave my level 3 to one side and just focus on business, you're going to struggle. If you're somebody that's just focusing on business but not focusing on the science and theory, you're going to struggle. They both go hand in hand. And if anything through this episode today I've been able to do is just remind you that the science and theory is as important as the business, and the business is as important as the science and theory. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe if you found this helpful. If you are listening to the podcast, as always, I'm extremely grateful. Make sure you go over to Instagram and drop me a message if you found this helpful today, and I shall speak to you on the next episode.